Miss Kate Beckinsale. Hi, Kate. So, thank you so much for doing this, first of all. That'll be your mic right there. There we go.
Hello.
What's your first impression of Houston, Texas?
It's very hot and sticky here.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was walking through the parking lots, and I was like, oh, it's a bad day to be steampunk. Like, I mean, there was people really, like, sweating out there.
Yes, there's some really serious costumes for this weather.
Absolutely. What's your take, though? Like, you know, is this your this is your first comicpalooza. So what's the vibe like to you?
It's very nice. I mean, everyone's been terribly nice. I feel like I've encountered more bodily fluids just from the sweating, which is okay. I feel like we're all in a gang now. So, little family.
What's so amazing is, I mean, just the versatility. I mean, of course, everybody knows the Underworld movies, but I mean, you've got a new period piece out right now. You've got Love and Friendship. I'm going to go out of order here real quick, though, because my daughter fell in love with Kate in the movie Click with Adam Sandler.
Everybody likes Pocahontas, turns out.
I mean, if you had to say, like, right off the bat, some movie roles that just immediately, wow, I'm always going to remember that the rest of my life.
Let me think. I did this really small movie that I'm not sure anyone saw called Cold Comfort Farm, which was like a big deal. I've already seen it. And then also playing Ava Gardner was kind of, you know, a big moment. I'm always fond of my rubber trousers. I have to say, I never thought I'd be in them for Underworld, but I'm always fond of those.
Now, what about the upcoming Underworld movie? Can you share anything about that?
I don't think I'm allowed to share very much. It's definitely coming. It's coming in October, and you know, there's a lot of mayhem going on in it, and a lot of terrible stuff happens to Celine.
Can you explain the title Blood Wars?
Can I? Well, my blood's quite important because it's, you know, got special properties, and so everyone's after it. But we've got new bad guys. We've got some brilliant new people in the movie who are all trying to, generally most of them trying to kill me at some point. So, yeah, there's quite a lot of blood work going on. Yeah.
Let's go all the way back to the beginning. I mean, actually, I had no idea looking at your IMDb credits that you were in a TV show when you were very, very little, correct? You made an appearance?
I think, well, my parents were actors, so I was just like a spare baby that was there. I didn't really have to do anything. I was just sort of standing.
But with your parents being in the acting field, at what point did you say, you know, I think I want to try this out myself?
Probably, I don't know, probably 11 or 12, but it's such a boring thing to say to a family of actors. Nobody's very excited. Pearl Harbor, I think at that point, was the highest budget movie ever greenlit ever. And that meant it had 4 units going at once and everybody kind of panicking a lot and a lot of things exploding. And, you know, I was just I was a girl from Chiswick who was used to corsets, so it was all a bit of a surprise to me.
Now, is there more pressure, like, say, when you're doing a major, massive, huge production versus maybe more of an indie-type feel movie? Is there more pressure for you doing the blockbuster, or is it, are you more relaxed when you're doing something that is just like, wow, this is a little off the radar, I'm enjoying this?
No, I think the same. I mean, I think you just put the same amount of pressure on yourself, you know, if you want to do a good job, depending on whatever the size of the movie, but it's just, there's a slight sense of being about to get fired always on a really big movie that I think everyone has, every member of the crew and every actor. It's just kind of, there's a lot of money at stake, you know, so there's a feeling of kind of panic in the air.
Okay, I'd like to ask you, this is a 2-part question, okay? So first we'll start with, what was the most just demanding role that you've ever had to play? And the follow-up will be the most physically demanding. But let's start with what was just you think would be, this is probably the most emotionally demanding thing I've ever had to do.
Emotionally demanding, I think maybe as a movie I did called Snow Angels, which was like very intense and sort of quite a tragic story. But Love and Friendship was demanding in the sense that we had 26 days to shoot the movie and I've never had more dialogue ever in my life. So that was kind of more like a mental agility type, sort of Sudoku test. And then physically demanding, quite a lot of them. I think Van Helsing was probably the most.
Oh yeah, you guys remember Van Helsing, don't you?
I remember being told, you know, you're going to have a lot of days off, it's Hugh's movie, or, you know, it's going to be very relaxing, you take your toddler around Prague a lot, and I just, for 6 months, kept finding myself hanging upside down in a tree, going, why am I still in the tree, and where is Hugh? Why does this keep happening to me? That felt quite long, that one.
Has there ever been a movie that's been offered to you that maybe you passed on, you're like, oh, I really should have done that?
No, but there have been movies that I thought, oh, I really shouldn't have done that. I'm not going to say what they are. I'm sure you all know. I'm sure you can privately think of what they are. Please don't shout it out. You might hurt someone's feelings.
And so what's next after this?
I am writing at the moment with another writer. I'm writing a movie, and that's sort of what I'm concentrating on right now. So I'm not sure in terms of in front of the camera yet. I haven't made a decision.
Okay. Are we able to do some questions here? Do we have some people that we want to line up here for a little question and answer?
Love you! So nice in Houston, isn't it? Everybody's so nice here.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, Kate.
Hi.
Of all your movies you made, for some reason, Serendipity has been very special to me for some reason. Every time it plays on the cable, I can always watch it, but does it have any meaning to you, and what was it like to work with John Cleese?
I tell you what's amazing about that movie, because it's one of the very few romantic comedies I've ever done, if not possibly even the only one I've ever done. And if a man comes up to me and says, oh, by the way, I really liked one of your movies, it's always that, which is kind of a shocker, considering I feel like I've done so many boys-type movies, and the boys really like Serendipity the best. It was a lovely experience. I really liked working with John. I thought it was a lovely story. It was a little bit tricky because New York was a bit as hot as it is now, and we were having to pretend to ice skate in Central Park wearing lots of clothes. So we were sweating quite a bit there too. So that was quite intense. And they had to replace the ice rink with linoleum. So movie magic was happening.
Thanks. And we have somebody on the other side here.
Oh, I can't hear.
Can we turn his mic on?
Hello?
There you go.
Alright. Yeah, I was just wondering, what was it like making a transition from Underworld to Van Helsing, where you're a vampire and then you're a vampire hunter?
That was sort of a silly move. I think I made a bit of a fool of myself doing that, because they were back to back. I mean, I went straight from the first Underworld onto that one, and I thought, well, they are very different, because one of them's a vampire hunter and one of them's a vampire, but it all sort of kind of merged into the same sort of thing, I think. Like I said, Underworld was a lot more, it was a much smaller budget and much quicker, and we would sort of, I think on that one they were very concerned, they wanted everything done practically. So there's a little bit more kind of CG things happening on Van Helsing, which I personally find slightly more difficult. I mean, not as scary. In Underworld 1, they were making people kind of dragging us along behind cars on bits of carpet and things like that, a very low-tech thing, whereas obviously Van Helsing was a bit more talking to a tennis ball occasionally.
When you first, signed on, very first time Underworld comes across your desk, did you ever have any idea that here you'd be all these years later, that it would become such a phenomenal franchise?
No, I was expecting to be fired in the first week because it really wasn't my speed at all. I mean, I dodged every PE lesson I possibly could as a child, and hadn't taken karate or trampolining or anything like that. So it was a real experiment, and I think initially it was because people were saying, oh, she's so English and fragile, and we can't really imagine her being tough and stuff. So I thought, well, I'd better take care of that, and then it got really out of hand.
By the way, speaking of the accent, I mean, what accent? Do you find it difficult to do the American accent?
No, not anymore. I'm around it quite a lot now, so I've heard it. It was difficult. The first time I had to do it was this movie, Last Days of Disco, and I think I probably spent 4 days in America, 2 of which were at Disneyland, and it was not helpful.
Because I've got to admit, I've never met an English actor or actress that couldn't nail the American accent, but then it's just got to be like, you want to rip your hair out when you hear an American doing it in an English accent. Like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people have moved on since then. I mean, all nations are capable of murdering each other's accents.
Okay, let's go over here real quick.
Hi, Kate. Thanks for coming down.
You've got to speak right into it, really loud.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
I was just wondering, what was it like the first time you heard Kevin speak on Underworld? Because his voice is just so unique to hear.
Yeah. Well, you're so busy not being able to believe your eyes at first, that that's an actual person of that size and shape, and also that kind of incredible rubbery consistency like a dolphin. That's not really like, people aren't usually made like that. And then the voice happens as well, and you go, come on, dude. But it's really real. Like, it really is. So, yeah, it made me feel like I didn't have enough of a gimmick. Mainly.
All right, we have somebody patiently waiting over here to the
Hello.
left.
Hi, Kate.
Hi.
So I wanted to know, which is your favorite, vampire or lichen?
What's my favourite? In what respect? On a date. I'm sorry, what?
Which one do you want to be?
I think there's a reason that there haven't been that many female lichens featured on the screen. Having said that, we've got a few in Underworld 5. So that's groundbreaking. Bring on a female director, on come all the hairy women. That's what's happening. So I'm pleased about that. But yes, I feel like the vampires may be slightly more nimble. But maybe I'm biased.
Now, would you ever consider dressing up for Halloween, trick-or-treating in one of your costumes?
I have already done it.
No, you haven't?
I have done it because we had, I love dressing up for Halloween, and we had one year where I'd been working and there wasn't really anything, but I've got obviously the Underworld suit in the closet somewhere in the back, and I sort of built a costume around it and hoped nobody would notice I was actually wearing my Underworld costume.
Please tell me you didn't have somebody like, I can just see somebody right now. Yeah, nice try.
No, I only wore the one piece of it. I didn't wear the whole thing. You can't do that. I mean, that's really embarrassing. No, I sort of jazzed it up with devil horns and a different sort of wig and a tail. I think I got away with it, but now, of course, I've screwed myself and told everybody.
Okay, let's go over here to the right.
Hello.
Oh,
Oh, bless it.
hand her that microphone, y'all.
What's been your favorite movie you've ever done?
Favorite movie that you've ever been in?
That's a really tricky one. I have to say, the latest movie that I have out, which is called Love and Friendship, is the movie I've seen the most of my movies, because normally you see them once and then you have a kind of nervous breakdown and attack of self-loathing and don't want to leave the house ever again, and then you can't watch it for like a decade. That's maybe just me, but since we're all friends, I'm sharing. But that one I've seen about 9 times, and I think it's because it's a comedy and people laugh a lot in it, and so it's quite nice to watch it with an audience.
Well, it's out right now. Do you want to explain a little bit to everybody, the general premise of the movie?
Yeah, it's a Jane Austen novella, which sounds super boring, but it isn't. It's actually really, really funny, and it's about this kind of quite naughty, rapacious woman who has kind of several lovers and generally gets into a lot of scrapes, but it's actually properly funny, and even boys who've been dragged there miserable by their girlfriends actually end up liking it and laughing, which is nice. But I might make you earmuff yourself in a minute. Oh, you're Princess Leia, you probably can't hear me anyway. It's such a different experience, because of course I've gone and seen this Love and Friendship like, in several different cities and different countries, and like, oh my god, isn't that amazing? And I once went to see Underworld, I think 2, in Times Square, under a hoodie, because sometimes it's quite nice to see it with an audience.
Wow, so you were actually in the theater, you just pulled the hoodie down.
Yes, I've done that a couple of times. It's quite nice to see what actual real people are making of the movie. But I'm sat in there in Times Square, and there's a big guy next to me, and I'd like 3 or 4 guys there. And there was a scene where I was sort of getting into bed with Scott Speedman, and I suddenly heard the man next to me go, I'm going to see me some titties. I'm never doing this again. I'm never doing it again. He didn't anyway, because I didn't do that. I was just like, that was an awkward and uncomfortable moment for me. Shouldn't happen to a dog.
What's that like though when you do you ever find yourself in a situation where you've made this movie and then have you ever gone into it blind, like been at a premiere and not seen any advanced cuts of it?
No, I would never do that to myself. I wouldn't survive that. No. There are some movies that I've known are going to be absolutely dogs, and I've just never watched them.
Oh really? Have you ever just come home, that's Netflix night, oh there I am.
Yeah, I've got kind of a phobia of it. I don't know why, even if I've liked the movie, if you're scrolling through and see yourself, you get kind of a strange sense of shame, like someone's caught you on the loo or something. A really weird feeling. Maybe it's just me. I'm finding out I'm far weirder than I thought I was just during this panel. Please ask Sigourney Weaver stuff like this.
Hi, Kate.
Hi.
it's all right with you, if it's all right with you, I have 2 questions I'd like to ask.
Go on then.
My older brother's an actor in New York, and he wanted me to ask, what do you like to do in between roles? Article where he talked about Michael Bay. I wanted to know, would you ever work with him again?
Okay, I'll ask for those in order. What do I do in between roles? You know, I mean, what regular people do. I mean, I try desperately to hang out with my daughter who, you know, is 17 and probably not the first thing on her list to be doing is hanging out with me. But I stalk her as much as I can. To try and insert myself into any portion of her life that I'm allowed in. And I like to go back to England. My best and dearest friends are from grade school and like from when I was 5, when I was 11. So I do like to kind of go home and do silly things with them. And then that whole thing was kind of a very weird thing because it's something that was sort of been out and around and talked about for a really long time, and all of a sudden everybody made a gigantic deal out of this thing that was kind of 15 years ago, which was quite shocking to me, and I'm sure to him. And so, I don't know, I wouldn't be, I mean, no, I can think of one director I would never ever work with again, but it's not him. Not telling.
Well, how about the positive? Who are some people that you'd like to
Hold
work
on,
with?
because I'm not finished.
I'm trying to say, yeah.
Hold on. But what I will say about that is, I think there's something very positive about people being very supportive of being against people being kind of shamed for, you know, women being shamed for how they look or told anything really like that. But I also do think that we've reached a culture where there's a kind of witch hunty thing for anything, and I don't want that for him either. And I think that anytime you're kind of made the sum total of something you said 15 years ago, it's a real shame because everybody grows up and matures and, you know, whatever, and I don't have any kind of grudge at all with that. So, what were you saying? I've forgotten.
I was just trying to help. Now, is there anybody out there that you're like, oh, I would love to work with this person again? Whether it be an actor, director, producer?
Yeah, loads. I got really lucky. This movie, This Love and Friendship that I did, is a movie that he's a director that I worked with 18 years ago. I'm really old. And so I loved that movie. I loved working with him, and also Chloe Savini was in that movie. And so we all 3 got to. It's a very unusual thing, I think, to suddenly get to work with the other lead actress and the director again. So I'm sort of hoping I've hit some kind of thing in my horoscope that brings back all the people I've really liked working with. Because that's been lovely.
Yeah. Okay, let's go over here to the right.
Hello.
First, which female superhero would you enjoy playing if you're at all interested in playing one? Second, which character from a famous novel or I guess a famous piece of fiction would you like to play? And third, what director would you like to work with? One you haven't worked with before. Which director?
Okay, I've never forgotten everything you said. What was the first thing?
What was the first one?
Which female superhero would you enjoy playing?
Female superhero. I was quite keen on Black Widow, but I've worn such a similar outfit that I think that took me out. But also Catwoman. I feel like, you know what I mean? It'd be boring because everyone's seen me in that costume anyway. So I understand that. I don't know. So what other superheroes are there? Wonder Woman. But she's already somebody, isn't she? That's already happened. That ship has sailed for us.
What was the second part of your question?
Captain who?
Captain Marvel.
Is that a woman?
Yeah, well, there is a Captain Marvel that's a woman. Some people get confused with the whole Shazam thing, but yes, Captain Marvel is a female.
Do I have to wear that big top hat? No. No. All right then. Okay.
What character from a famous work of fiction would you enjoy playing?
Work of fiction. There's a play. My favourite play is a Noel Coward play called Private Lives, which I'd love to do at some point. But work of fiction, I don't know. Probably some obscure French thing that would make you really depressed.
Was there actually a third part to that?
Yes, there was.
What director that you haven't worked with before would you enjoy working with?
A director that you've not worked with, you admire
It's
their
weird,
work.
isn't it? People ask this sort of question a lot, and it makes me feel a bit like I'm on Tinder. And I sort of don't want to show my keenness in case they're like, ew. You know what I mean? I'm just being really honest. That makes me slightly uncomfortable.
Okay, let's go over to the left.
Hi.
Hi.
Wowzers, I can totally see your knickers.
Body paint. questions were taken, so I'm like,
Okay, we
thinking
can just chat while
Okay,
you're in your
so-
knickers. Having a very interesting day.
Okay, so with so many like women role nowadays, how do you feel about just how women are being represented in Hollywood compared to just roles that probably when you started didn't get and now they're getting? So how do you just feel as Hollywood or women being viewed?
I tell you what, I feel like in general, obviously there's always that conversation of there's not enough good parts for women, and I think that's definitely true. Having said that, I feel like I've been very lucky in terms of, even when I'm in a period movie, it's generally she's fairly badass. So I feel like I'm lucky as well, because I'm one of the very few women who's kind of got this franchise thing that's, kept going, and I'm 108 now and I'm still jumping off buildings, and so there's part of me that thinks, that's a really good sign in Hollywood, as I'm not sure that necessarily would have happened a while ago. I'm still limping along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, what about the equal pay issue, because I know some actors and actresses have come out and been very forthcoming that, look, I demand that, I should be paid as much as my male counterpart.
Yeah.
Have you been following any of that, or?
Yeah, in terms of those kind of movies, I haven't had a male counterpart that much to be in competition with. Should it happen, I will make a huge fuss about it.
Okay, let's go over here.
Okay, hey Kate.
Hello.
So, the movie I remember you most was in Total Recall.
Yes.
And I thought you were easily the best part of the movie.
Thank you very much.
I was wondering how the role was in the, how it was like acting there.
It was good. I actually really liked that character. It was really fun to be able to play one that sort of starts out nice and then turns nasty. I just thought it was a really fun character. I really liked her, and I like the fact that they... Excuse me, I've just nearly died. Hang on. I'm back. Thank you. I like the fact that she, they updated it a bit by having her be kind of the main villain. I thought that was a good update. I mean, obviously it worked out quite well for me, but in general, I thought it was like a good thing. I loved her. I thought she was great. It was quite, it was quite a physically demanding role, sort of jumping about and things like that. But
Were you, did you have any, I don't know, doubts, like, you're like, this is a remake or a reboot?
I should have, shouldn't I? Anyway, moving on.
Hello.
Look at you. Are you Willy Wonka? Nice job.
Yes, I have chocolate.
Sorry?
I have chocolate.
Oh, good for you. Let's keep it to ourselves.
Okay, so my question is, I heard you are a bit of a jokester. Do you have your horse suit with you?
Do you know what? I don't. This is a short trip. So normally I take it if I go on a long trip. I'm sounding mentally ill. And also I knew it was going to be very hot here, and that's not the way I'm planning to die. Of heat stroke in a horse costume. So I didn't. It's safely at home.
Alright, thank you.
Oh, we got time for just about 2 more questions here, so.
Yes, ma'am. The question I've got is, before Underworld, were you ever exposed to firearms? And if not, what was it like to become familiar with firearms in that movie?
I wasn't at all, because I'm from England. I did have one of those things that you would stick into a potato and then fire at your brother, which I was quite good at. Turns out that was my training for this whole life experience that I'm currently having. But that was it. I mean, they weren't, obviously even our police didn't really have guns when I was growing up in England and stuff. So, and I've got really enormous hands, the size of a man's hands. So I'd failed horribly at learning the piano. Everyone was like, oh, you'll be great at the piano. And I wasn't. Or you'd be really good at basketball. Obviously, I absolutely suck at basketball. And then when I went to do the first Underworld training, I was really immediately kind of great with firearms, which is weird because I'd never come across one. And I figured out this is obviously the purpose of these gigantic man's hands that I have. So that made me feel better.
I got to see for myself.
Oh. big and fat and sausagey. You know, they're just sort of, long.
No little smokies. Okay, let's go over here real quick.
Hi, Kate.
Oh, hello. Congratulations, by the way, from
I
earlier.
wanted to say thank you for helping me propose to my now fiance.
Anytime. I'm so glad she said yes. I had some anxiety. Yeah, thank you.
But my question is, have you ever thought about doing a Resident Evil film with Mila Jovovich and Michelle Rodriguez?
I haven't thought about that. Should I be thinking about it?
Absolutely.
I haven't ever thought about that.
You can play one of the bad guys.
I think they'd see me coming, don't you?
You did pretty good at Total Recall.
Oh, thank you very much. I hadn't thought about that. I shall go home and ruminate about that.
All right, I think we got time for one more here.
Okay.
Cool.
No pressure. You've got to close this down well.
All right. So when you get a script that comes to you, what is it that you look for to say, okay, I want this role, compared it to, I prefer to stay away from this one?
Yeah, I mean, they're quite few and far between, the one that makes you really freak out. I think being just the really great writing, really great dialogue, character that you kind of either really engage with or are very intrigued by, and also who's directing it is really important. So we can't leave it on that note, you guys.
All right, we can get one more in there.
Come on, bring it home.
Come on,
my God, it's Spider-Man.
I just want to say thank you for this last question because I'm so excited. I'm such a huge fan.
Oh, I'm so excited about your outfit. I hardly know where to look.
That's not his web slinger.
Don't say web slinger.
That is not exercise. This is just a boxing briefs, you know.
Dear God, it's all happening, isn't it?
I wanted to know what is your most favorite action film?
Action film.
Yes.
That's tricky. Because I really like action films a lot. You know, there's that thing where you're like, I'm only in the mood to watch Face Off today. You can have that. Or The Rock. I do really like Armageddon. I've just mentioned 2 Michael Bay films and I'm aware of that. What else do I like? Midnight Run I really like. Is that an action film? It's probably not really. What else? I can't think of a single action film. I'm now thinking of Kramer versus Kramer. This is what my brain does to like mess with me.
Kramer versus Kramer.
Yeah, that's what happened. My brain will go, oh no, action film, and then it'll throw me something else. I'm glad we could enjoy this therapy session together today, all of us.
Thank you, Spidey, and everybody. Hey, can we bring up the lights so Kate can see exactly
what I'm dealing with here?
Because, you know what? There we go. I want you guys...